they gave me the trust to grow TaxDome as globally. And now we are above 20 million in revenue. So right now we have 93% retention rate right now for over 10,000 customers. My personal goal is to reach 100 million by the end of 2027.
All right, everyone, I have not just one of my friends, but also one of my brothers here from our jiu-jitsu school in Medellin, Peter Iliev, originally from Austria, now the Chief Revenue Officer for TaxDome. Thank you for joining me, my man.
Hey, so thank you very much for having me, taking the time. It's always a pleasure, I think, you're doing a great job in your industry. And I think, a lot of people can learn from you. So, I'm very grateful for having me and talk a little bit about my story, especially more in the SaaS industry. And maybe, there will be some takeaways someone can, catch up.
For sure.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do you the justice of explaining what TaxDome does and the level they operate at, so I thought I'd leave that to you. So to give everyone a quick preview of TaxDome, we're going to talk a lot about the lessons from bootstrapping to where they are now. How would you explain what TaxDome is and what they do?
Yeah, so TaxDome is a practice management tool for accounting and bookkeeping firms. You can do from everything from client intake to issuing an invoice for them. So we have a workflow, document storage, proposals, electronic signatures. So everything what you need to run virtually a practice, you have into TaxDome. So some people call it practice management. We call it now OS, operating system for accounting and bookkeeping firms. Yeah.
Well, more or less like a full-service CRM, top to bottom, everything from payment solution to workflow, pipeline, sales pipeline, everything.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's where we are. Yeah. But before we step into TaxDome, just a little bit about myself. As you said, my name is Peter. I'm originally from Austria, born and raised. I worked then later at Siemens for a while as a product developer there. So my background is actually engineering. I have a mechanical engineering title. And then from there, I actually started my own company, my own startup. Back in Austria, we were a payment solution POS system for restaurants, which then we pivoted into a mobile ordering system. So this was all before the pandemic, before everyone knew.
Perfect positioning, right?
Yeah, before everyone knew how to scan a QR code and the menu pops up, we were actually one of the first ones, So there was one competitor back in New York, they were called Allset. And then, we went into pre-ordering, pre-payments, where you just go into the table, the waiter knows exactly, okay, this is table 3, brings the drinks and food. And then, the advantages obviously for the restaurant business was faster table turn, higher
efficiency.
Yeah, efficiency, but also a bigger invoice per table. So not also a higher turnaround, but also more money spent per table.
Why is that?
Well, because it's more convenient. Imagine now, how often do you need to look for the waiter, or how often have you thought about, forget it because he's not showing up. Yep. But in your case, you're sitting on the table, choose the next drink, and it comes. And now for us, maybe this seems logical, obviously, but pre-pandemic, no one thought about ordering on the table and paying it directly on where you have embedded your credit card. And then we had several investments there. The most famous Coca-Cola was one of our investors. And then we had the biggest restaurant in the world as one of our customers.
In the world.
And we all know them. They make the most famous beer in the Oktoberfest. And then, huge chains. I'm a little bit careful of what I can share because, there was then, we went then apart. And then also the pandemic hit, and we all know how the pandemic hit the restaurant and the F&B business. And
question.
Yeah.
You hadn't exited that company pre-pandemic. Post-pandemic, you exited.
Like some people can call it exit, some people can call it, just a founder's. How you call it in English? When you step out as a founder.
Yeah.
And this was the case. A lot of learnings, a lot of failures. And then from there, I took a break. I needed to understand, what do I like to do? Do I want to stay in product? Do I want to stay in business? And then that's how I then got in touch with the founders of TaxDome. And they had a very strong product back then, and they were thinking how to expand into outside of the US because they are based out of New York.
Where were they at then? The 0 to 1 million stage?
They were before 1 million ARR.
And recurring revenue for those that didn't pick up on that.
Exactly. So in SaaS, everything is about ARR and MRR, depending on what pricing model you have. But if you have, for example, a monthly subscription, then you talk about MRR. If you have an annual subscription, then you talk about ARR. And then I stepped in. I helped or tried to grow TaxDome outside of the US. And then we pretty fast got aligned and understood that they gave me the trust to grow TaxDome as globally. And now we are above 20 million in revenue.
How many countries and languages? Which I think is one of the coolest parts.
Yeah, so we are in more than 25 countries now, and I think we support 14 languages. So we have a whole localization team. Shout out to our head of translations, Andrea. She's doing a fantastic job. I think a lot of SaaS companies and software companies underestimate how difficult localization is and how much thinking actually behind localization is.
Worked into the Japanese market. That's not common at all.
Yeah. No, I mean, especially in localization, you got to understand that it's not only translating a software. It is understanding how people in this industry work in different countries. The templates. Like in SaaS is all about fast setup, fast implementation. So you got to understand what their processes is. For example, a 1099 in the US is something totally different in Germany or in Japan, and you got to understand how they work. And then I always recommend if you localize in different regions, give your subscription for free for the first 2-3 customers, and they will localize the product. They will give you the local templates and messages, email templates, chat templates, workflow templates, and then they will also be much more proud to promote your software in the region because they know, hey, the localization is coming from me. So just a short tip on expanding to other regions. Try to focus more on localizing the workflows of the customers with your first early adopters instead of thinking, okay, let's localize it and see what comes in.
So when you went 0 to 1 million, what were like the 3 big takeaways you would share to someone that's in that stage right now?
Yeah, so in the beginning, I would probably focus on a PLG motion.
Which is?
So, product-led growth. So what you really want to understand, okay, is my product good enough to attract a customer without the touch point of a human? So maybe you have a customer support team which does implementation, but they go through the classic product-led motion. So they go into a free trial. They have this 14 days, 30 days free trial. They play around, and then they see maybe a question mark icon where they can book an implementation session, and then one of your support or you actually as a founder or or as an engineer, you implement the software with them, you learn from it, and then they usually, when the trial comes and they see the value out of it, they purchase. So if you have this motion working, then I would probably wait, for the first 1 million, probably till the first 1 million, I would leave it like this and see, and then you go to your customers and then see, okay, who are those people? Why did they sign up? Which cohort, which size of customers are they from? Are they solopreneurs? Are they from 2 till 10? In classic SMB, we talk to, in accounting industry, at least you talk to from 0 to 50 team members, team size. And then you see who are those people. Do I want to now scale it up? Which means then, okay, I need to bring those people in, and then you start thinking from a from a product market fit where everything comes in and then you onboard them and they grow again, you go to a channel fit. Okay, so which channels do I want to start looking for customers, but also getting customers faster through my sales cycle. So, I would say the very beginning, if you're bootstrapped or venture capped or seed, you should understand from in the beginning product fit. Okay, so 0 to 1 million, I don't have to do anything. People buy my product. So this is where I would stay in the beginning, and then I don't know if you're familiar. Are you familiar with these bow ties?
No.
So there's these bow tie models. I really recommend for everyone who does SaaS and similar software businesses. Focus always on a bow tie. So you have here with everything, the leads, sales funnel comes in the middle, they purchase, and then later the other funnel, but how do I refer and grow my existing customers, but not only on getting referrals, but also how do they add more users so my NRR, my net retention revenue grows. So what does it mean? Let's say if I get a customer with one user, with one license, and then once they renew, they have 3 users, so then
This is retention plus growth.
exactly.
Yeah.
So it's called NRR.
Would you monetize on the software side based on user counts and like subscription tiers?
Because as more users they add, as bigger your ACV grows, which is the annual contract value. So the trick is to grow your ACV, but we will get a little bit later to this point.
Question. I use a lot of different software stacks as an advertiser, whether it's something like Zapier that integrates everything you could name of, or like super specific, like automating launching mass creative launching for like Facebook ads, for example. And the majority of the softwares we use, regardless of the use case, they're just like clunky. It's not very user friendly. More often than not, if there is a tech support, it's not very good. The founder, let's say the founder's in there, he speaks to you like you're a developer when I'm not a developer. Mm-hmm. Would you say that is the biggest problem most SaaS companies have, is bridging that gap?
I mean, that's a good question. I think it's all depends on what your focus is in the very beginning, So let's say, for example, you're a SaaS company, let's say software as a service. If you get investment already before you launch the product, then you're in a kind of a tricky situation. So that's why, back to, should I run a company, should I get investment from the very beginning or bootstrap it for a while and then get investment when I want to grow, on a go-to-market or scaling phase, which is Series B and so on. So I would think about, back to your question, I would think, okay, at what stage am I? So is my pressure right now on generating revenue? Then obviously, you will get customers much more early stage where your product or your customer support, your help center, your knowledge base center is not even built out. So what you need to do is you need to put a lot of human resources into support. Or you say, hey, I want to go, like I mentioned at the very beginning, I want to go into this product-led motion to the 1 million to see I build out so much on the product that the customer feels comfortable living inside the product and minimize as much the tickets and support requests, like bugs, support requests, all those ticketing system. And this will help you understand where am I right now in the product market fit. So is my product now enough to provide, let's say to 2 million or X percentage of your TAM, of your total addressable market? Or do I say, I think my product is enough, but to continue investing into my product, I need to get some revenue in to justify to my investors. I need to put again.
If you take outside money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or to justify internally for yourself, I can put again money into my product. So, we talked beforehand about this, that the normal SaaS company, invests between 30 and 40% into R&D, research and development. At TaxDome, we invest between 60 and 70% in research and development because we do this for the long run. We want them to see. We want the TaxDome is known as the brand who always is innovative and brings out new feature. Why? Because as more features you have, as more mission critical you become as a customer. So what does this mean? It means that your customer, as more they adapt the product with more features, as less they will churn. So right now we have 93% retention rate right now for over 10,000 customers. And
you want the customer to be sticky more.
Exactly, and this is it's called mission critical, where your customer sees your product as mission critical, which means even if the product is getting, even if you get a horrible customer service, which I don't recommend, even if you have a buggy tool, which I also don't recommend, the ratio of staying with the company and living with these issues to implementing a new software, training your whole team is just so big
and painful.
And expensive.
Yeah.
Then they will always stay. I mean, think about, like people would complain about HubSpot or Salesforce so much, but then you will ask them, why don't you leave? Yeah. Like, dude, my whole company is, there are 200 people on this on this system. Like, imagine switching this cost you 1 million. Like, this cost you probably from half to 1 million with the, sales ops. You need a consultant. Like, all
Which
those
may
things.
not be that much on their balance sheet, but it's so emotionally painful that they'd rather just complain.
Yeah, and also it's an ego thing, So if you're a founder and you start implementing your tech stack, or a manager, you're not going to admit that your product, what you implemented, is not functioning. So you got to be pushing back and push even more to adapt this tool, because. So that's why I always, put your ego down when you select tech stack and build your tech stack, because then it's going to be a little bit dangerous and expensive. So yeah, back to your question, regarding customer support and how to handle those things. If your product is not good enough, as you said, because it's buggy and clunky. I think that's normal. When you purchase the SaaS software, it was an emotional purchase, especially in the size where you guys are right now. And you select, pricing is always a question. Emotional relationship is a question, on the purchasing stage, and that's why you rather are okay with and tolerate this kind of behavior, because you emotionally attached to the brand. But once you grow and you're running a 10, 20 million business, you got to understand, is this product now for me for the next 5 years, or who am I doing a favor, the product or myself? So, yeah.
So you go through from 0 to 1 million. Next phase would be 1 to 5 million, maybe. What were some of your learnings and takeaways that you would share from that experience?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So when we talk from 0 to 1, as I mentioned, you have this product-led growth, and then you start seeing. I would really recommend as early as possible to implement a referral program. And it doesn't matter if you're in software as a service, or in a service provider, or a demand gen provider, lead provider. I think the most interesting to see, am I gonna be sustainable, successful in the long run, or am I doing a good job, is to see NPS, your Net Promoter Score, and what is the traction on my referral program. Why? Because if you're very early stage, and let's say you have 100 customers, and you send them now an email that you have a referral program, and if no one in the next 1, 2, 3 months is going to use your referral program, then you have a problem. Then you have to admit you have a problem, because then you have to pick up your phone, call those 100 customers and say, hey, why are you not referring my product? And either they're going to lie to you, or they're going to say, well, Peter, we got to talk about this, because I like you. I think you guys are trying here something, but it's not ready to refer your product.
Have you been through that kind of experience before?
Yeah, no, 100%. You got to be there. And then this feedback, what they're going to give you then, this is those little growth screws you need to work on to go to the next level, because then you will fix them. And then you will know, okay, it improves the quality of my product, but also the customer satisfaction score. And then as much as this grows, your NPS grows, and then the referrals start running in.
So let's talk acquisition as a whole. At this stage, is it just referrals and product focus, or do you start
Exactly.
expanding into paid advertising?
Exactly.
And
No. So I can tell you with TaxDome, we're 20 million plus guys, and we've never run an ad. Never in our
that's
life.
incredible.
So and once you're at this stage that you get now your customers are growing, so NRR is plus 100, and then so right now at TaxDome it's between 150 and 120, depends on seasonality.
That means for every one user you get 1.5 referrals. Is that?
It's like your customer grows. So what does this mean? It means, for example, if I had 100 customers in the end of 2023, of those with 100 customers, let's say 1 million revenue, in end of 2024, I didn't grow any new customers. Those 100 are giving me now 1.15 million.
Because the subscription tiers are increasing per unit.
Because they're adding more users.
Yeah.
Because they're adding more users to the plan. And then, so let's say you're in the product-led motion, you have your first customers, and now they start using your referral program, and they're adding more users. Then we start talking about going from 1 million to 10 million. So what does need to happen now there? So from 1 to 10 million, you start understanding, okay, what is my demand? What inbound marketing generates? So I have demo bookings, so I need to start hiring inside sales. Like someone comes in, I need to do a little discovery after I have their demo information.
And is this traffic for bookings coming from referrals, SEO, or like I know you do like a lot of trade shows?
Exactly. So referrals, SEO, blogs, and maybe partnerships where you work with associations, influencers, or even online and offline events.
Like
you do a
listing,
webinar.
maybe listing as a recommended vendor.
Exactly. And then I believe it's a split opinion, but my opinion is that you can only be to a certain level successful in inbound. So there is a saturation level in inbound where you can only reach X% per month per year of your total addressable market inbound wise. And then obviously this comes then later, year after year, when you see only your months over months and year over year growth gets lower and lower, but you have the best people, you have the best marketing.
The retention's great. It's just that the growth slows.
Yeah, and I think you can grow like at TaxDome. Just FYI, we grew only inbound to 10 million. So we didn't have one outbound motion till 10 million ARR, and that's how you want to do it, because then you get those.
So it gives you the opportunity to really fine tune what you're actually selling and offering, because that's ultimate. Like it's more expensive always to get a new customer than it is to keep one. Right?
Exactly, man. Exactly, and then you continue focusing on the product, because those customers, when they hear about your brand, you want to be seen as they constant develop, they constant release new features, they constant polish the new features, and here's now a very important part. So I'm going to talk now a little bit more about SaaS. So in SaaS, you will thinking about a SaaS of solving one particular issue. So let's say, for example, electronic signature. So let's say you have an agreement, you send the agreement out through your electronic signature. There are many providers, I'm not going to say names. And then you use another SaaS for another feature. Let's say to send out proposals, CPQ, Then payment, to collect payments, another SaaS. So I don't know if you guys ever Googled. I recommend you to go into Google and ask what is the average number of SaaS tools per company, and I think it's something with 200 something. It's crazy, 200 SaaS tools. So what does this mean in the market? So right now, what is happening over the last 5 years is that all those feature-focused SaaS companies are becoming platforms. So as TaxStome, we started from the very beginning to say we're going to be a platform, an operating system where you don't need a CPQ tool, electronic signature tool, a workflow tool like Asana or whatever, or a payment tool. No, you combine all those things, eliminate the cost of each subscription, and pay a little bit higher subscription.
It's a value add. It's your part of your value prop, and
Exactly.
It's stickier.
It's stickier and also better experience. Imagine your end client, they have to sign through one tool. they have to pay for another tool. They have to upload documents on another tool. So they already are waiting just for 6 different access points to work with you. Imagine what the experience there is. Where in our case, for example, or in platform tools is you get one access to the client portal, to the end user portal, and then you see waiting, to do or waiting for action. I have to pay this. I have to send him this information. I have to upload this.
The full flow.
Exactly. And then, when you ask your clients, hey, what did you like better? They will always say, nah, man, I love it. I sometimes I just log into the client portal to see what's up there.
What was the hardest lesson you've had to learn from like a personal feedback from one of your customers that you thought you were completely on the right track with how you were developing the software, and then it threw you a curveball and you had to rework where you were going?
Very good question. So it is actually one thing which never stopped bothering me. And let me know, guys, if you see it the same way. But there's a huge dilemma between, do I focus on releasing more features or polishing my existing features? And I think you got to understand what is your strategy and how you want to be seen as a brand. So, or as a service provider. Do I want to offer more services or improve the current services I'm offering? So what is the dilemma there? And this is, what customers come to me and say, you guys always release new features, but even the existing features are not working correctly how I want them to be. And then you sit down and then, you make them feel heard. They have a great point, they bring a great point up, but then you got to understand and look back into your traction and think, what has attracted more people? The message out there in your marketing, in your branding, that you say you're innovative and release always new features, or I'm known that I always improve my existing features. And as harsh and hard it sounds, you will always attract more customers when you release new features, because not every feature you have will cover a total addressable market. So you have to release every time new features to your platform till you address everyone's pain point in your total addressable market.
But also to sell it as an idea of a software, more features is always sexier.
Exactly.
Right? Even though they may not even use half the new stuff you just plug in.
Exactly, man. Exactly. And then you do a price increase, and then they say, you're increasing the price. I'm using only half of the features, and those which I'm using are still need improvement. But on the other side is those new customers which are coming in, they're happy to pay your new price because you have all those new all those total features.
Legacy pricing comes in and grandfathering, and because as you update your pricing structures, I'm sure as you go, which we'll talk about probably in the 10 to 20 million, right?
Yeah.
There's probably changes like that have already come.
Exactly, man. So grandfathering as a bootstrap company, don't do it. I don't recommend doing grandfathering as a bootstrap company, because then you will
pay for it.
You will pay for it. It's going to be very, very expensive. So to answer your question, it's definitely the feedback of what to focus on new features and on polishing existing features. And here's the point. So as a SaaS company, as a platform, since you are including and natively building those features, for example, electronic signature or document management software workflow, you're never gonna be, so your feature of a workflow, for example, will never be so good as a single feature SaaS. You just can't do it, because their 50 engineers are focusing only on one feature, but your 100, 200 engineers are focused on 11 different features. So you have to find a balance between saying, I want my features to be between 70 and 80% complete, equal versus the ones which are single features. Why? Because I, as a customer, will probably prefer to have 80% completed features into one tool than having 6, 7, 8 SaaS tools separately and having a bad experience for my clients and for myself. And you gotta understand as a software provider yourself to understand how do I reach the 70-80%? And this is a lot of communication with your customers.
Never ending.
Customer satisfaction score, NPS, and then you get every day this feedback of, I want to have it polished, I don't want to have this new feature, or I churn, I cancel. And yeah, and back to your question, this is definitely a question which haunts me every day since day one at TaxDome. Right?
And it probably will continue to.
It will definitely.
You'll never solve it.
It never. I mean, think about when you use Google or any huge multi-billion-dollar company. How many features you're using and you're thinking, oh, this is useless, but you're the first one to use a new one. So let's say, for example, Google released the scheduler function. You're like, it's shit. I'm sorry guys, but it's really trash. But it's in one tool. It's connected with your calendar. Why should I now use Calendly or Acuity? It's just so convenient. And it's the same point.
Yeah.
And guess how many people told them, like, why did you release a new scheduler when if I want to look for an email in my inbox, I can never find the email, So it's quite difficult. So yeah.
So what else would you share as takeaways and big lessons, 1 to 10, as you move into 10 to 20 million AR?
Okay, so and then from 1 to 10 million, you got to think about, especially in SMB, what is my cohort? So if you focus on solopreneurs and small firms, let's say from 1 to 5, 1 to 10, it's going to be difficult to scale fast up to 100 million, 1 billion in revenue.
You need too many of them.
Exactly, you need too many of them, and then it's also expensive. It's really expensive to deal with them because they have high churn. Like solo firms and small firms, they have high churn because they don't adapt your product as a bigger company, and they will switch it much faster.
They don't have the resources to cut the learning curve. It's like the owner trying to problem solve it.
Yeah, and also there's then another reason. No offense, guys. There's also a reason why they're a solo firm. They don't have the understanding of how to scale up, or still trying. They may be too early to use a product like ours or a SaaS product. So it's very on the edge always. So when you're from 1 to 10 million and you want to grow from 10 to 20 or to 100 up, you have to start thinking about going up market. So what does up market mean? Up market means is that you want to increase the average user per customer, per account. So then you start talking about account management, and building a sales function with business development and account executives, a handover team with implementation managers, and then customer success account management. So I would start thinking about, okay, who are my customers? Who brought me to this point now? How much do I appreciate them? And you should appreciate them, obviously, and never forget about them. But now you need to start thinking about what features do I need to start providing and build, or as a service provider, what services do I need to provide to start attracting bigger accounts? And then when we start talking about the average user per account, but then ACV, which is the annual contract value. So you want to increase your annual contract value from 2 points of view. From one point of view is from the sales perspective, when my funnel attracts bigger accounts with high ACVs, but also on the other side, your existing customer base, you want to understand what features do I need to build that they onboard, for example, more users to the product. So let's say, for example, we all know them, HubSpot. So HubSpot, they started with a marketing CRM. And then they knew if you as a company with 500 people, only your marketing team is going to use HubSpot as a CRM, as a marketing CRM. So how big is a marketing team in a company? There may be 10 people, 20 people in SaaS. And you have, let's say, 10 people. You have 2 product marketers, you have 2 content writers, you have some growth marketers, and then what else do you have there? What do we have? And so maybe max PPC, performance marketing. So you have 10 people. So their ACV or their average user per account was 10 people. And then HubSpot started thinking about, okay, how do I get my account's total team size is 500, but only 10 people of those 500 is using my product. So what do I need now to release to get all to this 500?
And they're also not that sticky.
Exactly.
It's a fraction of the company.
Exactly.
One platform product that includes everything HubSpot can do at that time shows up that is a value add, maybe better UI. They're done, right?
Exactly. So they released a sales a sales pipeline tool. So a sales team is 4x bigger than a marketing team. So if you're 500 people SaaS company which uses HubSpot, immediately maybe between 50 and 100 people you have now seats in your
Just
product.
like that.
Just by that. And this is what brings you then from 10 to 100 million, 1 billion revenue, because you start releasing those services and features which increase your ACV, your annual contract value, or average user per account. And some people may think that you grow this through sales, but actually it's much more important also from product wise to build the right features to grow the account.
Interesting how it always, for you, the way you think about this is it always comes back to the product, which is awesome because I live in a world where we live and die by front-end acquisition.
Yeah.
Did the dollar we spend in advertising today produce $1.10 in revenue today or $1.20 in revenue today? If not, that's like a failed campaign because of how we typically operate, aside from some deals that we do more of like a LTV earnings where we earn on the lifetime of the customer or like a larger value cut of the customer. So it's super interesting to hear someone that's thinking, you're not thinking in the terms of this week's revenue and profitability, you're thinking in years down.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like even if you're venture capital bootstrapped, you gotta think about in the end of the you get rated on your multiplicators on your for your valuation and what drives growth, and growth drives a lot of things which sales is only a part of it, and demand gen and lead gen, your pipeline, your opportunity pipeline, and then the real sales, what you do depending on your conversion rate, it only has a part of it. It partly factorizes the whole multiplicator for your growth to come to evaluation. And this is where you need to make then the point of what do I need to start implementing to grow from 10 to 100 million. And then this is one thing what I mentioned in the beginning is like product, to understand which features I want to release, but sales. So what we did then is we start building our outbound motion. So let's just go into the fundamentals between inbound and outbound. So inbound is where marketing creates the demand. They come into a funnel. Then you have marketing nurture and MDRs, marketing development representatives. So this is more the inbound funnel. So if you see it in a funnel, the leads come in here. They they opt in. You have your scoring model. Like they visit your pricing page. They visit a blog. They maybe downloaded a e-paper or any lead magnet, and then okay, at this stage of scoring, now the MDR starts reaching out. They call you, hey John, you visit our pricing page, you downloaded the e-paper, and you read this blog. Are you ready now can I connect you with this amazing account executive I have? And then
it's really based on intent, all of it, because you're flagging the user based on their journey.
Exactly. And then you have this life cycle. And then I can address you much better. I know exactly what blog you read, how long you stayed at our pricing page to fall into consideration, and maybe you visit some review pages, so you start comparing us, and you downloaded an e-paper about growing your business. So the MDR is not gonna call you like, hey, introducing yourself or whatever. They will say, hey John, so you're looking for growing your business. You really broke down our pricing page, and you compared us with competitor X. I know what you're looking for, and there are thousands of you which are already using TaxDome, or my product. Let me set you up on a demo tomorrow at 2 p.m. with my account executive, who knows exactly what do you need and how to solve your problems. It's a no-brainer for you that you won't accept, right?
Yeah.
So this is how you pump up the conversion rate, for lead to demo booked for your MDRs. So this is the inbound motion. Then obviously account executive, they have an SLA of 24 hours should I take John or not? Hey, and then they can go and either say to the MDR, hey, can you ask also those 3 more things for discovery from John? And then I think I'm ready to take it. Or say, okay, I take this opportunity. And then we start tracking on opportunity taken to close deals and see how successful AE
Or
is.
converts from there.
Exactly. So this is the inbound funnel.
So are you thinking about, are we pre-ad spend? Or are we putting money into social, Google at this point? Or?
If you guys think, if you don't have enough traction to feed leads to your sales team, and
then you're not at the 10 to 20 million. You can't be.
Yeah,
right?
but also, maybe you don't have strong SEO, maybe your marketing team is not the best. So then you have to run ads. Maybe you have difficulties to get top ranked pages on Google or get referrals in and so on.
So are you thinking CPA, not literally like CPA, but cost per acquisition at this point?
Yes.
And how do you calculate that? Because you have such a long, you're in 9 innings of baseball, you're in like the 2nd or 3rd inning. You're not thinking about ad spend this month against like conversion rate, right?
Yeah.
So how do you process this? It's like a different way of thinking.
I'm gonna tell you guys how it is. With 20 million plus, I've never looked at our customer acquisition cost. I can genuinely say I don't know what this is. I don't know the number of it. I know I've written things about customer acquisition costs, but we never tracked it because it doesn't make sense for us.
It doesn't matter. It's not relevant to you.
It is not relevant.
Your churn is so low. It's less than 7%.
Yeah.
And your product's good. It's sticky. You're growing. You see increase in your P&L, your revenue, right?
So our customer acquisition cost is our marketing cost. So we actually don't have a customer acquisition cost. How I have set it up is what is our new revenue per year and what is our cost of our whole revenue team, which consists of CS, sales, marketing, and education. And the number needs to be above 1. So the revenue should be more than you spent on the whole revenue. Yeah, the ratio. If you spend more, then you better have a capital behind you. But we are bootstrapped, so the revenue needs always to be above.
What would you say if you want to really turn the dial up, or like where you are right now, and just get more aggressive?
Yeah. So
you could run a loss leader next month, go see your ratio drop to 0.9, but knowing if everything works, the following month that ratio is gonna jump.
Exactly. So, and let's talk about it. So there are many things you can do to generate leads, and one of it is PPC. To run ads. How we did it is we said we want to stay neutral on our inbound, to not pay for our inbound leads which are coming in, but we're gonna set up an outbound funnel. So what is an outbound funnel? So as we talked this inbound, that people think their product is a fit for them, and they request, and then they get converted. And the outbound funnel is you need to think about who is a fit for you. So you start creating personas. You start doing territories, hotspots. Start reading, having alerts everywhere. You use sales. You say, yeah. My VP of sales always says, hunt, kill, eat. Yeah, hunt, kill, eat. So you gotta start thinking about where are those people who are not maybe on the internet and looking the whole time or searches. And this is the part what I really always recommend to think about when you start growing is, imagine you have, let's say, 1,000 leads per month, let's say you have 1,000 demo bookings per month. If you look under the total TAM, this is maybe 0.x% of your total people who could use your product, right? What are the other people doing? Why they are not booking a demo with me? And I can tell you guys, they're not even on the internet. They're not even pulling out their phone and searching for a tool like yours. So you gotta do education first. And outbound is actually part of education. So what does this mean? I can tell you, so I was thinking at TaxDome how we can generate more leads. And then I was thinking, how much accountants don't even know what a practice management tool, but do practice management. And then I thought about they will never go on Google. They work on their spreadsheets. They do the traditional walk-ins. You want to get your 1040 done, and you go to your accountant, and then you start calling them and telling them, hey, is your workflow right now this, that someone comes in, they give you the documents, then you start working on it, then you have to call them in to sign it, then they have to pay you the retainer, then you do the return on your tax software, and then you give them the return and they have to pick it up? Yeah, how do you know? Well, because you never looked for a practice management tool in your life on Google, and say, yeah, what is this? And then you start explaining that everything become online, and say, oh wow, and why should I do this? And then you will say, well, because right now you're serving 100 clients because you cannot do more because they don't fit through your office door. But what if I can tell you that with your same stuff you have right now, you can do 1,000 clients, so your revenue can 10x? And they're like, all right, let's look into this. Yeah, and for $1,000 a year, so per user. And then they will be like, okay, so if I have 10 users, this is gonna cost me 10K, but I can have 10x revenue. So I'm making 500K and I make 5 million per year, and I pay you only 10K. How does this work? And say, that's the magic, man. And then it's a no-brainer. And so now back to the ads topic. So you got to understand, like, with your ads, I would run ads if I see that I'm not generating enough demand compared to other providers. So let's say, for example, if my SEO is not strong enough, or my inbound demand gen is not strong enough, like maybe my competitor or my competitor around the street, then you have to consider running ads to have more visibility. And this was not our problem. This isn't our problem, but our problem is to get exactly those people who are not looking digital for a product like yours. So you need to educate them first and then create the demand. So that's why we built the Outbound team.
So they create a list to go after them. They just call, email, or walk in if it's like local, for example.
Exactly. So you go
door to door.
In-person sales, man. You cannot imagine how many offices I've visited so far, accounting offices. And every time I travel in the US, I say, hey, I've been there. I've been in this office here, And then when you build this outbound motion, how does it look like? So in SaaS, there are different models how to build the outbound motion to increase your logos. So in SaaS we call new customer new logo, and then ours is right now built through SDRs and account executives. So the SDR has
SDR?
Is a sales development representative, and this talent has a territory, and matches is first of everyone who is digital, who has looked for a practice management tool, who is a customer, who was a lead once, and removes them immediately.
Yeah.
And says, this is not my target audience. I cannot educate them more because maybe they're not fit anymore, and they will come anyway through inbound. So why also focusing on them? So again, very split opinion. I know some people say they believe in inbound and outbound to increase the probability to convert, but I focus really on early education of very cold leads, which people never thought about using a tool like yours. So you start calling them, you start showing up, you send them an email. Always personal call before email. Always, guys, my personal opinion, always call before emails. And then you start educating them, and then maybe think about long-term. Again, I'm very long-term oriented. Even if I call you and say, hey, John, that's your use case. Is this what, am I correct? You say yes. Would you like to book a demo with my account executive or answer some more questions? And you say, no, I'm not busy. I will start throwing in the name of my product as much as possible. Why? because there will be the day you will go to the conference, you will look on an ad maybe, you will look into a newsletter, you will look into an email and think, TaxDome, I've heard about this name already. There was this one guy who called me once. And then
Because you've seen this happen.
And you did the pre-education already for them, that they have a connection already with the brand. And your SDRs will be obviously direct successful and bring them the leads directly and book the demos for your outbound account executives, but also doing already the pre-work for inbound, unintentionally. So that's what we did, and like 20 million hitting it. We're growing. We want to finish at above 30 million by the end of the year. So really want to go to 70-80% year-over-year growth again.
How big is your team?
We're a total of 400 people.
400 people.
400 people, and my whole team. So I'm the Chief Revenue Officer. Very grateful for the talents I'm working with. So this is marketing, customer success, education, and sales, and those are almost 200 people.
What are you most excited about this year?
This year, several points. So we are releasing 2 new features. Back to product. We're releasing 2 big features, which will again increase our ACV, and we will target new teams inside the accounting firm. Which is more focused on bookkeeping. We are going also for a rebranding. So right now we're called TaxDome, which, when bookkeepers hear about TaxDome, they will say, I don't do taxes, so why should I use you guys? So
interesting.
So we are removing the tax out of the name. So it's, we're focusing on different verticals. Very interesting. So yeah, and also, since we're bootstrapped, we really want this year to make more money, not only stay always equal, to scale even fast in the future, because I want my personal goal is to reach 100 million by the end of 2027. If we're at 35 something by the end of the year, then it's gonna be possible. And the other exciting point is, which I really want to talk a little bit long about, is new clients versus expanding your existing customer base. And as you go into the 20 million, 30 million, 50 million, or 100 million revenue per year, you need to start thinking about, do I have already the most revenue out of my accounts? And I can tell you, usually the answer will be no. Because think about, even as a service provider, how many other services they use. So what can I do for them that they also use, even to have more demand from me and pay me more revenue. And I believe that right now in SaaS, particularly in SaaS, it's becoming a shift where people are realizing that, I personally came up with the term fill rate, to increase your fill rate per account, then getting more new logos on the top of the funnel, and more opportunities. So I really want to see this year what the split will be between new revenue and expansion revenue. So expansion revenue is when you grow the account, the existing account, and new revenue, obviously, from new sales. And I hope over the next 3 years I can make it 50-50, because then, you can...
The trajectory is going to explode without paid ads.
Exactly, yeah.
What motivates you at this point, man? Like, you've obviously been very successful in your first company. You're crushing in this. You're super young still. Like, what drives you?
I mean, the learning, man. Working with wonderful people every day. If you're open to learn, if you're open to fail, if you're open to take the challenge, I think this is what motivates you every day. I couldn't wish, for a better challenge. Also, especially right now, the vertical SaaS in the industries is becoming very interesting. Like, I don't know if you remember, but like 20 years ago, 10 years ago, let's say, we're not so old, but 10 years ago, when all those CRM came successful, they always focused on the total SMB. You know, like who is your customer? Everyone. Who should you use HubSpot? Everyone. And then all those vertical CRMs came out. You know, like for real estate, for
Niche. Gyms,
very niche, exactly. You know, MindBody, like everyone uses them for gyms and yoga studios now, and they're also a practice management tool. You know. I got a thought back to what else is going to be challenging this year. Anyway, I don't want to jump. So, and the shift in the industry right now, where those big software companies which are focusing on the whole SMB to vertical and niche SaaS is becoming very interesting, because it makes you now start thinking about when I develop a new product, do I want to be a niche vertical product, or do I want to say for everyone? And then the golden question is, what is going to be faster successful? So do I have so much money to address a huge market and grow so fast? Or do I start from very niche? Let's say, I focus really on real estate, and then I start going to the verticals of real estate, law, accounting, fintech, and all those things. Right. And then in the end, after 10 years, I'm also as big as someone who started in the very beginning as SMB. So I think this kind of shift of understanding from starting from a niche to going on a bigger, more verticals, or starting big and then need to localize it for each verticals, because let's say again HubSpot, when you go on their website, you can see industries, bam, 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 bam. Or you go someone, who started like Clio or the other very strong practice management tools, CRMs out there, who started from one niche and now they're like having already 10 different industries. So this is something very interesting, which we will see more and more people.
You made the
going.
bet on the other trend of
Exactly.
niche and expanding, because once you build this thing, you're never done, right? But once you build this to the level you want to, you could, in theory, replicate and just repeat the recipe for whatever other big opportunity.
Exactly, man. And like 4 or 5 years ago when I joined TaxDome, I never thought we will be competing against Salesforce and HubSpot and those big tools, but
we're taking market share.
We're there, man. And then just churning and converting to us and migrating to us, and it's crazy.
You understand the customer way better than they ever could.
Exactly.
They can't focus on it.
Exactly. Or Monday and all those big $1 billion, which are doing a great job. Shout out to all my friends out there. And back to the challenge. What you asked me in the back for this year, payments. So the beautiful thing in operating system and platforms is you also do the payments through your clients. And payments is becoming more than ever a thing right now. Why? Because online payments is just growing exponentially year over year. And if you think about, like 5-10 years ago, when you paid your accountant, you would pay for the tax return or, like for these retainers with cash or, or transfer. And now, you do it through TaxDome. And, I can share this. We're doing now more than 1 billion in GMV, in gross merchandise value. So like our accountants, we have more than 10,000 customers, but 5 million end users which use our software to communicate and collaborate with the accountant. And we reached more than 1 billion in US dollars, which the end client pay their accountants, or the accountant charges their client. And you make money out of this too. So we made now 20 million in revenue only out of subscriptions. And this year we will be monetizing also the GMV. And it's going to be a big part. So, there are other competitors, or not competitors, but other practice management tools in other verticals, which are making 200-300 million, where half of it is only payments, man.
Wow.
So
look at MindBody, like you mentioned MindBody. I used that when I owned a gym. They didn't give you an option. You had to use their payment processor.
Yeah, and exactly. In MindBody, I mean, I know their numbers. I know what they're doing, and I know it's a fact that the big part of their revenue is payments.
It's a good product, though. To be fair.
Yeah.
There's a reason we used it for like 7 years.
Yeah. No, it's and I think this is in SaaS payments is gonna be a big thing, and it makes you also more sticky if you trust the product. By the way, I believe payments is a great feature, a great also not only for SaaS, only for everyone who has provides a service for customers. If you start doing payments through your service or through your software, and customers start adapting it and not use Stripe or any island solutions, then you know you have a strong product adaptation, a strong product. And we got to this point, we reached this 1 billion. Obviously this year we want to reach 2 billion, and hopefully by the end of 2027 of 10 billion, and then say if you can only get 8 basis points or 10 basis points, then
Still not bad.
yeah. So, but nonetheless, love the team, love everyone I work with, all our customers. I'm a very customer-focused person. I believe that everyone in your team should be talking to your customers, from intern to a very tenured person. If you don't talk to your customers, you will not be successful. And this is where I think you start building up and you stop building.
What's been your biggest challenge as you become a leader, and a young leader?
So many challenges.
You started leading teams when you were in your mid-20s, right?
Yeah, so many challenges, man. Like different cultures, the ego, to be open for improving, to understand where's the line to push your thought through, where should you be adapting and pivoting, the communication, how do you set clear expectations. It's never, I see myself as a very bad leader, people say obviously the opposite, but I believe I could do so much better and never stop learning. I go to different schools, to management courses. I recommend Pavilion community, great community for SaaS leaders. It just never stops, man. And I think that's why I'm also a big supporter to those one-on-ones. If you say, hey, let's say like this, if I talk to leaders and or owners of a company, and they say, now we have a flat hierarchy, my follow-up question is always, how many one-on-ones do you do? And they say, I don't do them. Then you don't have a flat hierarchy. So I do, for example, a lot of one-on-ones. So my team is, I think, 160 people. I try to do it twice a year with everyone. With everyone, I try to do a one-on-one twice a year. Obviously, with upper management, I do it much more often, like once a week. But if you want to keep a flat hierarchy and hear the real problems in your team and your company, everyone knows more than you in a specific area. And you need to know those things. Because I'm a big supporter of hiring people who are better than you, but you shouldn't stop becoming also better. Because there's a beautiful saying, if you stop becoming better, you stop being good. And this is definitely a big challenge as leading a team, being not only a leader but also a supporter, provider, consultant, executor, and you're conducting all those things. Do things first before you tell people what to do, especially when you haven't done them before. Just don't go by the book. Execute the book and then train and give, set expectations.
If you didn't do what you were doing right now, what do you think you would be doing? TaxStome never came into your life.
Software. I would maybe software, maybe hardware, but I would definitely be in product development. I love product. I think I love the innovative part of it. I love how it changes people's life. How people build emotions with something non-human. And think about what is the second thing what frustrates you most in your life after human? Well, product, or maybe your dog or a cat, but product is actually the second thing. Your phone. How often do you think, man, this doesn't work, this doesn't load? So product is actually the second most emotional part in our lives right now. and to be able to provide a better experience for products is something what fascinates me, and I will always stay in the product development area.
It's awesome, man. Oh, you shared a lot of gold about growing and building, more importantly.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me, man.
How can people learn more about TaxDome, learn more about you, connect with you?
You can add my LinkedIn profile in your in the description or comments. TaxDome, maybe do me one favor, if you guys are listening in and you have an accountant who you digitally collaborate with through a portal, see in the domain or check somewhere if it says TaxDome, and let me in the comments know if they're actually using TaxDome. I would like to see how far are we already in reach, because 5 million users actually quite a lot. We don't know who they are because we're SaaS, so we have the GDPR obviously, and we only know who our customers are. But it would be cool to see what if you're using TaxDome with your accountant, what your experience is, because I would like also to see how it is affecting your life to collaborate with your accountant. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much.